Hi, greetings. This is Anand Raj. I am working as Associate Professor in Department of Information Technology. I am going to give video lecture on LAN standards such as IEEE 802.3. Actually, the network is broadly classified into different categories based on its size, ownership, number of nodes is being connected with that particular network, as well as geographical area it covers. So the categories are local area network, wide area network, metropolitan area network, and internet. Local area network means connecting the devices or connecting the system within a less restricted geographical area. So the local area network usually owned by private parties and it's limited to a single office, building, campus, etc. So three typical architecture normally being used in the LAN, such as Ethernet, it is called as IEEE 802.3, token bus, it is called as IEEE 802.4, token ring we have, it is called as IEEE 802.5. Apart from these, one more architecture we have, it is called as FDDI, Fiber Distributed Data Interface. It is from ANSI. These three standards, Ethernet, token ring, token bus, are from IEEE. Apart from these, one more standard has been introduced by IEEE, that is called as wireless LAN, IEEE 802.11. Apart from among these LAN standards, Ethernet is most dominant architecture for local area network. All those protocols working on base of HDLC, that's called a high data link control protocol. Before explaining about IEEE 802.3, I would like to tell about the 802 project. IEEE have started the project 802. Their main concern is to provide the standard for LAN products. Actually, IEEE 802 is not a replacement for the ISO OSI model. They are going to give importance to that medium, that's physical layer and the data link layer. They divide the data link layer into two different sub layers. One is what we call medium access control layer, or it is called as a MAC layer. Another layer we have, that is called a logical link control layer. Data link layer major responsibility is to implement error control, flow control, and framing, as well as it is responsible one to implement the physical addressing. Here the MAC layer responsibility is to perform the framing. Error control, flow control is normally being performed by both medium access control layer and logical link control layer. Logical link control layer is the upper layer of the data link layer. It mainly used to handle the logical addressing, control the information and data. By using the control information, it can able to provide the error control facility. Next, medium access control layer is lower layer of data link layer. It's a proprietary to specific LAN product. It means that each LAN standard having its own MAC layer, but the logical link control layer is not proprietary specific, it common to all the LAN standards. Medium access control layer main responsibility to resolve the contention for the common shared medium. It provides synchronization between the sender and receiver. It provides the flow control mechanism. It implements the physical addressing scheme, and also it's responsible one to implement the error control mechanism. Now I am going to explain the Ethernet operation. Most of the LAN standards medium is broadcast in nature. It means that each and every station in that particular network is going to receive the data which has been sent by any station in that particular network. Say for example, let us consider the network having 4 different stations, it all being connected in the LAN. A wants to send the data to the station D. Even B and C is not going to be the recipient for that particular data. Both a node is going to receive that particular information. Once it receives that information, it will check the destination address of the particular data. If it is mean to that particular station, it will be accepted, otherwise simply it will be discarded. So here B and C is going to discard the packet which is mean to D. The D is going to receive the packet and it will be forwarded to the next layers in that particular system. Here when we are going to share the common medium, when multiple nodes are going to share the common medium or going to transmit the data by using the common shared medium, there will be the problem. It is what we call collision. So collision is going to be occur when multiple nodes are trying to send the data at the same time. Let us consider the scenario where all the 4 nodes is being connected on a common shared medium. Here A is going to transmit the data at that particular point of time. C also trying to send the data, in the sense in this particular point collision is going to be occur. Collision means overlapping the signal which has been generated from 2 different or more than 2 stations. When the collision is going to be occur, automatically network is going to be congested, the performance of the network is going to come down. So the medium access control layer main responsibility is to regulate the access of common shared medium, which is going to be used for sending and receiving the information among the nodes in that particular network. Here in Ethernet, we are going to make use of that medium access control policy or medium access control protocol. It is called a CSMA/CD. It stands for Carrier Sense Multiple Access with Collision Detection. It is a modification of the previous version of that MAC protocol, CSMA. That is called a Carrier Sense Multiple Access. According to the Carrier Sense Multiple Access policy, any station wants to transmit the data, first it has to listen whether the transmission medium is free or not. So it has to listen the medium. If there is any voltage level is being identified in the transmission medium, the particular station should not transmit the data. It has to wait. Okay, it has to wait for random amount of time. Okay, after it being identified that channel is free, the station will be allowed to transmit that particular information. So by using this particular mechanism, it is possible for us to reduce the amount of collisions in that particular network. Even in this particular mechanism, we cannot able to completely eliminate the collisions. So another one revision, another one enhanced version of CSMA has been released. That is what we call CSMA/CD, Carrier Sense Multiple Access with Collision Detection. So according to this protocol, any station wants to transmit the data, it has to listen that communication line or communication medium. If it is free, then that station will be allowed to transmit the data through that particular medium. Even after transmitting or while transmitting the data, the channel has continuously sensed the medium. If collision is going to be happen, automatically the transmission medium's voltage level is going to be increased. If there is abrupt change in the voltage level in the communication medium, then the sending station has to stop transmitting the data, and the sending station has to generate the jam signal, and it is used to convey that particular medium is being congested to all the stations in that particular network. So it will stop transmitting the data, and it has to wait for random amount of time. This particular mechanism is being used by the MAC layer of all the Ethernet from IEEE. IEEE Ethernet, in the traditional Ethernet 802.3, we are avoiding the collision by having the Carrier Sense Multiple Access with Collision Detection. It is used to coordinate the traffic, minimize the amount of collision is going to be occur in the particular network, maximize the number of frames delivered successfully to the receiving station. So more number of stations trying to transmit the data, in the sense automatically the traffic is going to be increased, the more collision is going to be happen, automatically the performance of the network is going to come down. In order to improve the performance of the network, it is necessary to regulate the common shared medium access. It is being performed by the MAC layer of the data link layer. So this is a Ethernet frame format. It is normally being defined by the MAC layer. Here it consists of 7 field. The frame starts with the preamble field. It runs about 7 bytes long. Next to that we have a SFD, that means start frame delimiters, and next to we have a destination address, source address. Next to field we have a length, and we have a data which has been produced by the higher layer, that's called network layer. Finally it will be ended by CRC, check cyclic redundancy check. So in this particular Ethernet frame we do not have any acknowledgement facility, and also there is no retransmission facilities being provided in this particular frame. So first frame preamble, it's about 7 byte long. It consists of alternate zeros and ones. It allows the receiver and the sender to be synchronized among themselves. Next to the preamble we have a start frame delimiter, SFD. It is about 2 byte long. It is a final chance for the receiver to be synchronized with the sender. Next to that we have a destination address. It's about 6 byte long. It contains who is going to receive that particular data. Okay, destination address of the device is going to be there in this particular field. Suppose the data need to be passed on to that 2 different routers. So the initial, the sending station, how to insert the destination address of the router 1. Okay, once it reaches to that router 1, the router 1 has to replace that particular address to that destination physical address of the router 2. So like that, destination address information is going to be inserted in that particular field. Next to that we have a source address. Again it's 6 byte long. It consists of the physical address of the station which is going to which send that particular information. Okay, that's 6 byte field containing the physical address of the lost station to forward packet, that's called sending station, or must resend router which forward the information to that particular to another routers in that particular path. Next to that we have a length field. It's about 2 byte long. It indicates the number of bytes in the coming protocol data unit. If the number is going to be the fixed one, the length of the PD is going to be the fixed one, that particular field will be used to indicate the type of the message being forwarded through that particular Ethernet frame. Next we have a data field. The minimum length of the data is about 46 byte long. The maximum length of data we can able to forward using the Ethernet frame is about 1500 bytes long. So minimum length is about 46 byte long. In order to make the CSMA bar CD operate properly smoothly, they fixed the minimum size of the Ethernet frame. It's about 46 byte long. Okay, next to that we have a cyclic redundancy check. It's here we are going to use CRC32. It is used for detecting the error which is going to be happen while transmitting that particular information. Next we have a Ethernet addressing. That's I told, destination address and source address need to be inserted in each and every Ethernet frame. Each and every devices in the Ethernet network must have a unique address. That address normally being printed in the NIC card. Suppose the station want to be connected with the local area network, or it should be connected to the network, it must have a network interface card through which it will be connected to the network. So each and every NIC card come with the address. That address will be called as a physical address. The physical address normally being imprinted in the NIC card. It is represented in a hexadecimal notation. It's about 6 byte long. Okay, so I have given example for the Ethernet address 0601020124B. Each will be 1 byte long. Put together we have a 6-byte physical address. So each and every station in the local area network must have a unique address. That address is what we call physical address. It is going to be used by the Ethernet standard. Next, what are the different categories of traditional Ethernet we have? Actually, in Ethernet, we have 4 different divisions. One is what we call standard Ethernet, or we can say it as a traditional Ethernet. Next, we have a fast Ethernet, and next we have a gigabit Ethernet. Next to that, we have a 10 gigabit Ethernet. Okay, so these are the different classifications of Ethernet. Okay, now we are going to see about the categories of traditional Ethernet or standard Ethernet. There are the 2 different categories of traditional Ethernet we have. One is what we call baseband Ethernet, another one is what we call broadband Ethernet. In baseband Ethernet, normally we use digital signals, and we make use of Manchester encoding to encode the data. Okay, so we have a different baseband standard Ethernet we have. One is a 10 base 5, 10 base 2, 10 base T, 10 base FL. So in the 10 base 5, 10 base 2 and 10 base T, here the first number indicates a data rate it supports. All the traditional Ethernet supports the data rate up to 10 megabits per second. The last letter 52T FL indicates the length of the cable, or length of the transmission medium, or length of the segment, or type of the cable is being used in that particular Ethernet. One more category we have, that is called a broadband. Here we are going to make use of the analog signal. Here it will be performed by using the conversion from the digital signal to the analog. Here we are going to use a differential PSK, differential phase shift keying is being used. There is only one specification we have in broadband, that is what we call 10 broad 36. Now we are going to see the 10 base 5 Ethernet. It is also called as thick net. So here we are going to make use of the coaxial cable as a transmission medium. The category of the coaxial cable is RG8. The diameter is about 0.4 inches. It make use of the bus topology. LAN is going to be used. Base signaling with a maximum segment distance of 500 meters. Okay, the standard tells that the maximum length of the coaxial cable should be 500 meters for each segment, and also the standard tells the distance between the one station and another station. The distance should be 2.5 meters. So within a segment it is possible for us to have 200 stations, and also the standard tells that we must have only 5 different segments, maximum 5 segments we can have in the particular LAN. So in each segment 200 stations, in the sense put together 1000 stations can be connected according to the 10 base 5, that's called a thick net. Okay, so what are the characteristics of the thick net? It supports the transmission rates up to 10 megabits per second in baseband mode, in digital mode, and it's a very less expensive one with compared to that fiber optic cable, and it's more expensive with compared to the twisted pair cable. And wide diameter and excellent shielding make it more resistant to noise than other types of wiring such as twisted pair cables. Okay, so physical connectors and cable include coaxial cable, NIC card, transceivers, and the attachment unit cable, AUI cable. These all the different units are there in that particular standard. So here it's a topology of 10 base 5 Ethernet. So here there will be the centralized cable, there will be the bus. Okay, so the bus, both the end has to be terminated properly by using the terminator. Next we have a medium attachment unit. It is what we call transceiver. It is used to perform both sending and receiving, transmitting as well as receiving the data, from which the connection can be extended to the system. Okay, so the connection between the node and the bus, or the system and the bus, is what we call attachment unit. It is what we call transceiver cable. The maximum meters, maximum it's about 50 meters long, and within a node we must have a NIC card, that's called a network interface card. Okay, so it is a topology of 10 base 5. Next, I have taken a snapshot of transceiver cable of 10 base 5. It is a 10 base 5 cable connector and a transceiver attachment unit, and next we have a 10 base 2 Ethernet standard. 10 base 2 Ethernet standard is also called as a thin net. It also supports a maximum data rate about 10 megabits per second, and it tells that it restricts the length of the cable. The cable length should be approximately 200 meters long. It should not be more than 200 meters, and it tells that approximately the length should be less than 200 meters, about 185 meters long. Here also we are going to use a coaxial cable. It also uses the bus topology to connect all the stations in that particular network. It's a very less expensive with compared to the previous standard thick net, and with compared to that fiber optic cable, it's a more expensive one. Okay, next one, it more resistant. Sorry, with compared to that fiber optic cable, it is a less expensive one. With compared to the twisted pair cable, it's more expensive one. Okay, it more resistant to the noise than twisted pair cable, not as resistant as thick net. With compared to the previous one, it's not much resistant. Here we are going to use the fiber coaxial cable. Category is RG58. The diameter is about 0.64 centimeter. Major advantage are its very low cost and relative ease of use. We can easily connect all the systems by using 10 base 2 Ethernet standard. Okay, these are all the characteristics of thin net 10 base 2. Here it uses a bus topology. Connectors and cables includes the NIC card must have, and the thin coaxial cable is going to be there. It is going to be the common shared medium. It is going to be shared by all the devices in the particular network. Next we have a BNC T connector, using which the connection can be extended to the nodes. Okay, so here transceiver is moved into the NIC network interface card, do the functionality of both sending and receiving the data. The previous standard, we have a separate unit for the transceiver. It is being attached with the cable itself. Here the transceiver is going to be attached with that NIC card itself. Our NIC card has to perform the functionality of transceiver. Tape replaced by the connectors, splitting directly into the cable, eliminating the need for AUI cable with compared to the previous standard. Here we are using the BNC T-shaped connectors. The T-shaped device with the 3 ports, it has one for the NIC card and another one for input and output ends of the cable. So next to that I have a snapshot of BNC T-shaped connector for thin net. So it is a cable, input and output is being connected to that BNC T connector, and another one port through which we can connect our system with the network. Next we have a 10 base T Ethernet standard. So it also supports the data rate about 10 megabits per second. T stands for the twisted pair cable. Here we are using twisted pair cable instead of coaxial cable. Here we are going to make use of the star topology to connect all the devices together. Okay, so it's a most popular standard, easiest to install and reconfigure the system. Okay, in the previous 2 standards follows that bus topology. Since it is very difficult for us to reconfigure the network, but here we are using the star topology, so it will be easy for us to reconfigure the network. Reconfiguration in the sense adding and removing the system will be easy in case of 10BASE-T Ethernet. Okay. So it supports the data rate up to 10 Mbps with maximum hub to the station length should be 100 meters. The distance between the station and the hub should be 100 meters. The transceiver operations are carried out in an intelligent hub. So transceiver operations normally being carried out by the centralized unit, it is what we call hub. Next we have a NIC card. NIC card reads the destination address of the frame and only opens if it match that address. So already I told that all the LAN standards transmission medium is broadcast in nature. So each and every station will receive the data. So it will read the destination address. If it's mean to that particular station, it will accept, otherwise simply it will discard that particular data. So here NIC card is going to be opened only when the destination address of the particular packet matches with its own destination address, otherwise it won't be opened. This is the topology of 10BASE-T. We will be having the centralized unit, that is a 10BASE-T hub. All the devices in the particular network is going to be connected to the hub. So for that we are going to have RJ45 connector, male and female connector we can have, using which we can able to connect all the devices, all the nodes with the hub. Next we have a bridged Ethernet. So the previous Ethernet standards, the traditional Ethernet or standard Ethernet supports the data rate maximum about 10 megabits per second. So before we moving to that high speed or fast Ethernet, Ethernet has gone through that several revisions. Okay, there are the two different revision has been made. One is what we call bridged Ethernet, another one is what we call switched Ethernet. So according to the bridged Ethernet, we are looking to reduce the collision domain. So instead of having the 1000 stations within a single link, or instead of connecting the 1000 stations in a single bus, we are going to divide the particular LAN into that 4 different segments. Each will have about 250 stations. Again, all those segment is going to be connected by making use of the bridge. It is a connecting device we have by using which we can able to connect to 2 different same kind of LAN segments. If you are going to divide the LANs into that various number of segment, it is possible for us to reduce the collision domain, as well as we can able to improve the performance of the particular network. Okay, so the diagram shows here we are going to have all the system within a single LAN. If that dotted line represents the collision domain, instead of keeping all the devices in a single link, we are going to divide into that 4 different LAN segments. The 4 different LAN segment is going to be connected by making use of the bridge. So its main objective is to reduce the collision domain and improve the performance of the particular network. So it increases the bandwidth by dividing the network into smaller network, allowing the concurrent communication, and also separates the collision domain since the traffic is lower within a segment. Next we have a switched Ethernet. It is an enhanced version of bridged Ethernet. So there we are using the bridge as a connecting device to connect the various LAN segment. So they have given a restriction that we must have only maximum 4 LAN segments. Here instead of having the number 4, why don't we have it as a n? Why don't we increase more than 4? Okay, it leads to that standard, that is what we call switched Ethernet standard. In the switched Ethernet standard, switch is going to be used for connecting the different LAN segment instead of bridge. So according to that, switch having some intelligence. Okay, when we are going to connect 10 different domains, say for example 10 different domain is going to be connected to that switch, and the system in domain 1 wants to communicate with the system in the domain, in the same domain, that switch will not forward that particular information to any other domain. It won't be forwarded. If the system in domain 1 wants to communicate with the system in domain 2, the packet has to be reached to the switch, and switch will take a decision that whether it has to be forwarded to any other domain. So which domain it has to forward. So using that, it has a logic by using which it will verify, and the packet will be, the data will be forwarded to that respective domain. So domain 2, the packet is going to be forwarded. Okay, so by using which it is possible for us to reduce the amount of traffic is going to be exchanged, as well as we can able to improve the performance of the network. Okay, so in switched network, switching device recognize the destination address and routes the frame to the specific port to which the destination station is connected. It also used to improve the security. Okay, next we are going to discuss about the full duplex Ethernet. Whatever the Ethernet we have discussed so far, it is a half duplex 1, 10 base 2, 10 base 5, 10 base T. All those things operates on a half duplex mode. It means the station can able to send and receive the data using the particular cable, but both the thing is not going to be happen at the same time. By using the full duplex Ethernet, it is possible for the station to send and receive the data at the same time. So those Ethernet is what we call full duplex Ethernet. It increases the capacity of the each domain, since the capacity of that line between that station and the hub, or station and the switch, is going to be divided into two different division. One will be used for sending the data from station to the hub, and reverse will be performed in the another half. Okay, so here there is no need for having the CSMA bar CD mechanism to regulate the medium access. Next we are going to discuss about the fast Ethernet. Okay, so here the fast Ethernet operates at the speed about 100 megabits per second. This faster speed is needed in some kind of application like computer aided design, image processing, interactive audio and video applications, and large scale content distribution. In those cases, it is necessary to support that much data rate. So here in the fast Ethernet, there is no change in the frame format. Again, all those things are common. Again, there is no change in the addressing scheme. Again, same physical addressing is going to be used. There is no change in the access method. Here also we are going to use a CSMA bar CD mechanism. Only thing, we are going to increase the data rate by reducing the collision domain. Okay, so the data rate can be increased if we are going to reduce the collision domain. Instead of having the segment size about 500 meter long, we are going to reduce it 200, less than 200, so that we can able to achieve the higher data rate. That's a basic idea behind the fast Ethernet. Okay, so there are that several physical implementation we have for the fast Ethernet. It uses that star topology. There are two different categories of fast Ethernet we have. One is 100 base X, another one is 100 base T4. In 100 base X, again we have two different standard. One is what we call 100 base TX, another one is what we call 100 base FX. Here TX stands for the twisted pair cable, FX stands for the fiber optic cable. So here the 100 base T4, here we are going to make use of the 4 twisted pair cables. We are going to see those standards one by one. In 100 base TX, we are going to use the category 5 UTP cable, unshielded twisted pair cable is going to be used, or we may use a 2 STP cable, it's called a shielded twisted pair cable is going to be used to connect station to the hub in star topology. One pair carries a frame from station to the hub, one pair will be used for in reverse direction. That's called hub to station. Here we are going to make use of 4B 5B encoding mechanism. That means 4 bit of information is going to be mapped onto that 5 bit of information. It allow that synchronization. It provide a synchronization. It allow the sender and receiver to be synchronized among themselves. And next to that we have one more coding mechanism is being performed, that is called MLT3 encoding. Okay, MLT stands for the multi-level transport 3 encoding scheme. Okay, under that I have shown the encoder design of 100 base TX. Okay, so here we have a 425 megabits per second information is going to be fed into that 4B 5B block encoder. It will generate 125 megabits per second information is going to be generated, and MLT3 line coder convert into that 100 megabit per second information. It will be transmitted through the communication channel. Next we have a 100 base FX. Here we are going to make use of the two identical fiber optic cable in star topology. One fiber will be used to carry the information from station to the hub, and the reverse is going to be performed by the another fiber optic cable. That's called station to that, from hub to that station. Here we are going to make use of 4B or by B encoding. That means 4 bit is going to be mapped onto that 5 bit coding mechanism is being used. Here the signaling is going to be the NRZI, that is a non-return zero invert encoding scheme is being used in this particular standard. So next we have a 100 base T4. Here also we are going to make use of the twisted pair cable as a transmission medium. Again here also we are going to use a star topology. Here we are going to use a 4 pairs of category 3 UTP cable to transmit the 100 megabits per second data, and 2 pairs of bidirectional, other 2s are unidirectional. In both the way it is possible for us to transmit the data in 2 pair of cable. In another 2 it is possible for us to transmit the data only in one direction. Here we are going to use a 8B for 16, that's called 8 binary. 6 ternary encoding is used to transform the signal into that 6 bouts of 3 voltage levels. Next we have a gigabit Ethernet. It's a fast Ethernet. It's an enhanced version of the fast Ethernet. It supports the data rate about 1000 megabits per second. The data rate is about 1 gigabits per second, usually implemented as a full duplex with no CSMA bar CD mechanism. So there will be several standards we have for this particular gigabit Ethernet. One is what we call 1000 base SX. Here we are going to make use of the long wave optical fiber, and another one we have a 1000 base LX. Here we are going to make use of the twisted pair cable instead of the fiber optic cable. Another one we have that's called the 1000 base T. Here also we are going to make use of the twisted pair cable as a transmission medium. So in this presentation we have discussed about the Ethernet protocol, Ethernet standard. It's a predominantly used LAN protocol. We have discussed about the traditional Ethernet standard, or it is called as a standard Ethernet. It supports the data rate about 10 megabits per second. And we have discussed about the fast Ethernet. It supports the data rate about 100 megabits per second. And next we have a gigabit Ethernet. It supports the data rate about 1000 megabits per second or 1 gigabits per second. And we have discussed about the bridging and switching, that's called a bridged Ethernet as well as the switched Ethernet. Apart from these standard, we have token bus as well as token ring. Okay, in token ring, in token bus, in both the mechanism, we are going to make use of the token passing mechanism instead of CSMA bar CD. In Ethernet only we are using CSMA bar CD as a medium access control mechanism or policy. There we are going to use token passing mechanism. So according to the token passing mechanism, any station wants to transmit the data, first it has to capture the token. In the token bus, we are going to have a centralized cable, that is what we call bus, through which all the system is going to be connected. Even the station is ideal, even the bus, the cable is ideal, station will not be allowed to transmit the data. First it has to capture the token. Okay, once it capture the token, it will be allowed to transmit the data. Once the data transmission is over, then that particular station has to release the token. Okay, so that other stations in that particular network can able to send the data. Okay, so again the same mechanism is being used in the token ring. It is called as IEEE 802.5. In IEEE 802.5, we are going to again we are going to make use of the star topology. Okay, so the system is going to be connected among themselves in a star manner, and that here there also we are making use of the token passing mechanism for controlling the accessing that common shared medium. So with that I conclude my presentation. I thank the management for having given this opportunity to give video lecture. Thank you.